JustinFREAKIN is a formidable voice in the culture.
Hey Justin, are you trolling?
This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol. I'm not doing a bit, no. I was trying to be serious. No, I'm not in the right place. Hold on. Good evening. Quesadilla. Good evening, Libertad. So I've decided I've finally caved to the pressure. I've had enough right-wingers tell me that I don't get any views. Ain't nobody watching this show. So I am finally going to do the right thing. I'm going to show them that I can play the YouTube game. We're going to retool the Troll Patrol. From now on, no cussing. No cussing. I don't know what's going on. Picked a bad time to do no cussing. I am no longer going to do anything that will get me demonetized. We're going to stick to fluff stories. We're not going to do any more hard news. There's not going to be any coverage of Israel. I'm not going to be giving my thoughts on any kind of topic involving Trump. And we're calling right-wingers morons. I already ran people off. I'm sorry, I'm just fucking around. I'm not high enough for this shit. That bit worked a lot better in my head. I'm sorry. I'll see myself out. We won't talk about the most absurd news, politics, and current events. No condom hummus? What are you doing with hummus that you would need a condom? I'm very confused. So I think we've got a pretty diverse show tonight. We're going to talk about politics. We're going to do true crime. I got a story about a YouTuber. No, a TikToker. We're going to update you on the UAW. We got sports. We got entertainment. We got a guy fighting a kangaroo. This show's got everything. I stand by the quality of this show, no matter how many expletives I may throw out, no matter how many times I evoke Dan Crenshaw's eye pussy. I'm just stoned and rambling. I'm sorry. I went out and about for the first time in a very long time. I was thinking about it, like that might be the first time I've really went out since COVID. Like I've been out to dinner and shit, but like I went out and associated with a lot of fucking people. I went to a club. I hugged a lot of people last night. I made fun of people's costumes. The young lady I was with saw a guy that had been drinking too much, and his friends were trying to help him up, and she's like, he's overdosing on fentanyl. He's overdosing on fentanyl. I'm fucking cracking up over it. We go in the bar, and I'm like, give me a PBR. And he's like, you want the tall boy? I'm like, I'm a fucking tall boy. She gives like a Miller. Like by the time we fit, like I finished the big tall boy, DeVry titties indeed. She had stupid fucking titties, and like she knows it. Like she's a lot bigger on the internet than I am, in more ways than one. So yeah, it was a fun night. There was some girl that was dressed up as like a sexy bride. She was mad at her boyfriend. Bride titties is like, don't worry, honey. He's doing you a favor. I'm okay. So yeah, I like going out and making fun of people. I walked by this guy. He was in a cop uniform, right? Like he might have just been generic cop for Halloween, but like I feel like he had shorts on. I'm not real sure. I was high. I was a little tipsy. I think he had shorts on, and I'm like, "Are you Dangle from Reno 911?" And he told me, "Yeah," and I was like, "Well, let me see a little new boot goofing. Come on." Like the chick he was with was like, no, he's Morty. And I'm like, from Rick and Morty? I don't get that one. Anybody else have any fun out on Halloween? Sparkles, did you go on a date? Is Kick not working, or is there just nobody over there? Kick might not be working again. Sometimes it takes it a few minutes to kick in. I've got a jam-packed show. We got to talk about a lot of things. Let's check on Kick and see if they're kicking. There ain't nothing going on over here. Somebody's watching, but ain't nobody talking. Welcome, good evening. Old lurker over on Kick. Anyway, a little entertainment news, a little sporting news. Boxing is definitely on the agenda tonight because there are some there's some controversy surrounding the Fury and I'm gonna fuck his name up. I'm gonna hate this. Naganow, maybe? Naganow? I hope I picked something with video so I can learn how to say it. Yeah, I was one of the very few people in downtown that did not have a costume on. But I wore my Tool shirt, so it had the Ghost Preacher on the back of it. I thought that was close enough. Flash, did I tell you good evening? Sparkles, good evening. DJ Dub, Mitochondria. I feel like my voice, I didn't know this because I had not talked all day today. Like, I didn't do any voiceover or anything. I feel like my voice is a little on the raspy side. Perhaps I went out and overdid myself, like yelling at people on the side of the sidewalk. It is okay. We'll get through this. I need to talk. Oh, I'm going to update you on the UAW. Fox Business Channel says we're now a nation of renters. Which Cuomo is this? Is it Anthony Cuomo? Which one was the governor? I haven't thought about a Cuomo in so long. And I forgot their fucking names. One of them was on CNN. Slow-mo Cuomo. Maybe. He was on Bill Maher. Bill Maher asked him point blank, did he ever actually grope anyone? So we'll see what kind of wiggle words he uses. Mike Pence finally realized what we knew all along. That he ain't gonna be fucking president. Donald Trump, I got Trump commenting on Mike Pence dropping out of the race. I got some horrid shit here to start the show. If you don't like the crime stuff, I would give us 20 minutes, 25 minutes, perhaps even a little longer. It's gonna be a tough ride. It's just another day at a Halloween party. I was talking about how much fun I had downtown, accosting people with their stupid costumes and shit. And I wasn't accosting everybody. I was nice to a lot of people. I hugged a lot of people last night. I'm a loving, tipsy, almost drunk guy. But I got to go out here and have fun. Sparkles got to go on her date with the cute girl in the Ric Flair robe and have fun. But not everybody got to go out and have fun at their Halloween parties last night. Some people had to get shot at. Over a dozen injured. 2 people dead, I believe, in Florida. Yarber City. There's always a Florida story, and for tonight it's like the worst it could possibly be. Found the main shoot. I didn't do a freak show on Friday night, and I should have, because I was gonna fly solo, and then I was just like, I don't feel like it. I should have done a freak show because they did the whole press conference of finding the shooter in Maine. Here's a Smokey. You want to get up in my lap? Probably saw me leave the house. Was like, what the fuck is this shit? You're gone for several hours? That never happens. Here's your meme of the day. Apparently, there are conspiracy theories going around. But did Matthew Perry? Oh, wait a minute! It's not Halloween yet. It's Halloween on Tuesday, and I promised Snicks we're doing all bullshit on Tuesday. I've already got some of the stories picked out for Tuesday's Troll Patrol. She wanted a lighter episode. It's going to be a lighter stream. All bullshit to celebrate on Halloween. Smokey, buddy. Say something. Say something to him. Son. I'm trying to talk to the people. Oh, all that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol live. Welcome. I've got a cat that's being very needy right now. It happens from time to time. News, buddy, you want to take over the show? You'd probably be a much better co-host than me. You'd be a much better host of the show than me. I'm stupid. Let's talk about shootings. I guess I'm high enough to talk about shootings. Yeah, a horror of Halloween here in Mass Shooting USA. Content warning. I like my Halloween deaths with like machetes and melee hits.
Our top story tonight, 2 people dead, including a 14-year-old boy, and more than a dozen others are hurt after an early morning shooting in Ybor City. This happened in the area of the Tangra nightclub on East 7th Avenue just before 3 in the morning. Tampa's police chief says 1 person is in custody facing a second-degree murder charge. Let's send it out to Spectrum Bay News 9 Trevor Pettiford for more.
Well, for starters, this has been anything but a normal Sunday here in Ybor City. As you can see behind me, 4 blocks of businesses have been shut down the entire day, surrounded in crime scene tape as police continue to investigate this crime. Meanwhile, we've had people who have been coming down here to enjoy a comfortable afternoon here in Ybor, but they've been walking around in shock over what happened. But tonight, police have a suspect in jail accused of killing one of the victims. They say they also have 2 handguns used in the deadly shooting. So let me run down the details to you. Police say they've charged this man, 22-year-old,
who's dual wielding,
with second-degree murder. Investigators say Phillips got into some sort of argument with another person when it suddenly turned into a shootout. A 14-year-old boy and a 22-year-old man were killed. 15 other people were also shot, and 1 other person was injured. Now, Tampa Police Chief Lee Burkall says he wants to reassure.
That's a lot of shots. He had just 2 handguns. That's at least, what, 14 rounds?
For the public safety in Ybor City.
A number of officers isn't the problem.
I can't do math.
Dispute between 2 people that turned into a gun violence when it shouldn't have done that. And that's where the community comes in. You know, we say it too often, and sometimes I think it gets too commonplace and forgot. See something, say something applies to anywhere. You could be in a mall. You could be in a movie theater. You could be in Ybor. Wherever you see something suspicious, you need to let us know immediately.
Now, Chief Burkall says that there are.
How does that apply to that situation? What kind of suspicious thing are you going to see? He was just a kid out of the club. How's anybody supposed to know that he's got 2 handguns in his pocket? Another one smoking a cigarette. And a horrible joke. I'll see myself out.
5 victims that still remain in the hospital tonight, but he says their injuries are not life-threatening. Live in Ybor City, I'm Trevor Pettiford, Spectrum News.
Thank you, Trevor. Mayor Jane Castor also spoke at this afternoon's update, saying that Tampa and Ybor City are both still safe areas, and she'll work to make sure.
It's Florida.
She says these incidents do not define the city.
If you look at the overall crime rate in Ybor City, it is very, very low. It's just unfortunate that these late night, early morning incidents are occurring where you have disputes that in the past may have been settled in a verbal argument and at the very worst, physical fight, and now people aren't hesitating to pull out guns and shoot, and not only kill innocent individuals, but hurt bystanders as well.
Stories of the victims are starting to come in tonight as well. A father who says his 14-year-old boy was killed is speaking with us about...
Why are you beefing with a 14-year-old?
He says he's struggling to wrap his head around the shooting.
It's painful, man, to see your child laying there. And it's nothing I can do but stand behind the yellow tape and just watch them take his body away. I can't go see him. This is my last time seeing him. You know, you never expect this to happen. It was multiple people shot, you know, and he was just happened to be one of the unfortunate to take this, you know, I have to take this loss right now.
Emmett Wilson describes his son as a good kid who sometimes hung out with the wrong crowd. Now, this investigation is only just beginning, and we will bring you updates as they become available.
We appreciate it.
Here on air, online.
Thank you, Bay News 9. Since I last left you, we kept checking in on the manhunt for, was it Robert Card? The bastard's name that they were looking for in Maine. Apparently he did he took a boat, and it was like a mile row down to the recycling plant where he used to work. The police checked the main facility of the recycling plant, but there was an extra lot. And we're going to hear from the dude who was on the scene and informed law enforcement that the shooter might be in that extra lot.
In yesterday's press conference, Maine State Police say
Warlord
they led to search the overflow parking lot of Maine Recycling Corporation, and that is where they found Card's body. News Center Maine's Giacomo Mudd spoke with the man who says he told the FBI about the overflow parking lot.
You would run this trail, right?
Yes.
Chris Poole says he worked at Maine Recycle Corporation for 12 years.
We're not an hour early. Did time change in Britain or some shit? Our time changes in like a week or two. It might be next week. I'm on at the same time I'm always on. Does Britain change time? I don't understand what's going on. You're saying I'm on an hour early. I'm pretty sure I'm on at the same time. Same time. Same troll time, same troll channel. Do you guys change time? Because I always thought it was... Apparently you don't change time at the same time we change time. Just saying. You're the one who's an hour early. You fell back.
Years, ending his time there during the pandemic.
I was a driver manager, amongst other things.
Nick, Spider Piggle.
You know, the pandemonium in one area and then the next area, and just trying to wrap our heads around exactly what was going on.
Watching the news with his family.
At about 5 o'clock, I got a call from CNN.
Questions about his employment at Maine Recycle, after reports that alleged gunman Robert Card had ties to the same workplace.
So after hearing the reports that Robert Card had ties to the Maine Recycling Corporation, Chris, who also used to work at the Recycling Corporation, realized that he used to jog on the same trails that connect you from the Miller Park.
This is the Maine mass shooting. We had the manhunt last time I was on with you guys on Thursday night. We were in manhunt coverage. Was it Sky Comet? Purgatory? Somebody guessed that he had because he had abandoned his car at a boat dock. had a boat that was unaccounted for. That apparently that's what he did, was take that boat down to this recycling center.
Boat ramp all the way to Maine Recycling Corp. We first learned about the Miller Park boat launch after police said the shooter left his Subaru there as the hunt began Wednesday night. When he made the connection, Chris Poole says he called the FBI.
I showed them the map, described to them that, you know, perhaps he could get into one of those trailers. Some of them are locked, some of them are unlocked. Also suggested that, you know, if he was looking to hide, you know, if people were coming, that he could simply bury himself in some of the recyclables that were inside the trailers.
Showing us the same route he showed investigators. And 4 hours after he says he spoke to the FBI, they found Robert Card's body with a self-inflicted gunshot wound in a trailer at the Maine Recycle Corp overflow lot. And according to the FBI, they wouldn't confirm if Chris Poole was the one who tipped them off. They only said they got hundreds of tips.
The first response is a sigh of relief.
But for Chris Poole, just offering up what he knew felt important to do.
Thank you, Chris.
You know something, say something.
As he and the community continue to process this nightmare.
Sometimes that we think, you know, Mainers don't experience things that the rest of the world experiences, but, you know, but we do.
In Lisbon, Jack Molmud, News Center, Maine.
And families of those who had loved ones killed and injured in Wednesday's mass shooting tell us the discovery that Robert Card killed himself means they may never know why Card decided to target their loved ones.
I mean, it's Maine, not Narnia. It's not like it's a different place altogether. He left a note. They didn't mention it. That was like the most up-to-date piece I could find. He did actually leave a note. The police said he didn't outright say what he was going to do or say that he was going to commit suicide, but did seem like somebody that wasn't coming back. Let me see if I can get you details.
Completely legitimate questions about a note that was found in his residence. So this is a paper style note. I'm not going to read it to you verbatim, but what it is it's a note to...
Are there other types of notes besides paper style notes? Did you think that he would carve it on a piece of wood or some shit, engrave it?
Loved one, and is saying that this is the passcode for my phone, this is the bank account numbers, and I wouldn't describe it as a explicit suicide note, but the tone and tenor was that the individual was not going to be around and wanted to make sure that this loved one had access to his phone and whatever was in his phone. We're working on that now to get into the phone. That's one of those search warrants. That's one of those very specialized skill set that our folks have. And then the bank codes to make sure that that happens. That's not uncommon in suicide situations. You get long notes, you get very set up scenarios, but that's something that you asked about, and I do appreciate that. And again, we can talk about that a little bit more now.
There you go. That's the update on the main shooter. He was indeed found dead. All right, these next two stories are graphic. Human skin style note. That's another one that could. I mean, it is Halloween. If you're gonna go out, maybe we carve it into a jack-o'-lantern. You hear the meme that, you know, you never hear songs that say fuck the fire department. But, like, you know, there are shitty firefighters apparently. A city official called this firefighter a piece of trash for molesting a child.
County firefighter is accused of child molestation. We're going to show you a photo. It shows Putnam County deputies taking
No, that's child porn.
Man Sean Carpenter of Palatka into jail right here. He's accused of 4 counts of sex crimes against a child under 12 years old. Deputies say
fuck this dude.
Parent about the abuse 11 days ago. Deputies say the child is an acquaintance of Carpenter with no family ties.
Here to guide all kinds of daily drama.
Fuck that guy. Fuck this social worker in Ohio who is accused of having sex with one of her teen clients. Like this is a story that broke a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't really talk about it. I didn't really think that, you know, there was any news value. But now this social worker apparently got out on bond and showed up at the victim's house with a fucking gun because we live in the United States.
Case of a licensed social worker in Columbus accused of having sex with a 13-year-old boy. Court records show Peyton Shires went to the boy's house last night with a gun. When police showed up, Shires told them she would kill herself, but officers were able to arrest her. She was originally taken into custody earlier this month. That's when the teen's mother called police and said Shires had sex with her son several times. He was a client assigned to her for counseling. Shires had worked for the National Youth Advocate Program.
7, we believe.
Victim's mother wasn't at home at the time, but did call police after seeing Shires on her doorbell camera. When officers got on the scene, Shires was reportedly sitting on the front porch with the gun to her head, yelling that she was going to kill herself. Shires allegedly called the boy's mother and said that she wanted to kill herself and his mother because they ruined her life. They ruined her life. As News Center 7 previously reported, Shires was arrested on October 6th by the Columbus Division of Police SWAT after being accused of having sex multiple times with the teen, who was a client assigned to her for counseling. The teen's mother called police in late September after finding text messages between her son and Shires, according to court records obtained by WBNS. In a message, she reportedly asked the teen if he had deleted the videos and if his mom had seen them or the messages. Detectives found a video on the teen's phone that showed him and Shires having sex and engaging in other sexual acts around the city of Columbus.
You live in sexual anarchy?
He was originally facing one count of unlawful sexual conduct with a minor, but has since been charged with intimidation of a crime victim and intimidation of a crime witness. I feel like she's going to get a little bit more than a titty slap.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
A TikToker in Texas. Say that one 5 times fast. A TikToker in Texas Side's not really cooperating with me here. Hold on. A TikToker in Texas has apologized for sucker punching a bunch of people for internet clout.
One of those social media pranks that is hardly funny.
A 19-year-old runs up on 2 unsuspecting people and sucker punches them in the back of the head.
Yeah, this happened in Cyprus, and the video, of course, getting a lot of attention with hundreds of comments and reactions. Tonight, our Jason Miles found and talked to the young...
How you get away with that? TikTok takes so many of my videos down for violence. How you get away with that?
Man behind the stunt.
Jason, what was his response tonight?
Well, he's regretful. Honestly, I didn't expect him to answer the door, much less come out and talk. But tonight he says he regrets the behavior so many are now condemning online.
Not far from
he condemned
Park,
where he's accused of randomly punching strangers.
Do you regret it?
Yes, I do.
19-year-old Alfred Lewis spoke with me about how he feels about it now.
You know, I just made a mistake, and everybody makes mistakes.
This is the video in question, first shared with KHOU 11 via the Nextdoor app. In it, you can clearly see Lewis striking a man in the head from behind before he turns around in shock.
What the fuck is Nextdoor?
All you see is like the bad part about it, but what?
Brother, what's the good part about punching somebody in the back of the head? Smokey!
What people didn't see was that I shook his hand after and how I had gave the man a hug.
That is something we cannot verify, nor can we confirm that another man seen in the video getting punched and grabbed later left on good terms, according to Lewis.
I really didn't expect it to just go so left, you know?
I told Lewis that law enforcement is investigating the incident, something his mother and father were also aware of.
And your mom's probably disappointed.
Yeah, she is.
Lewis said the harsh reaction to the video will make him rethink his behavior and hopefully be a lesson for others.
Before you go out and you do anything that you feel is...
I mean, I guess it's possible if you gave these people, I don't know, if I don't even know what Nextdoor is, I'm assuming you're not monetizing this shit, but I mean, I guess it's okay if you give them like a couple grand or something. And they'd be like, all right, yeah, you can punch me in the back of the head for a couple grand. Like that might you be able to leave on good terms. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure they're going to be pissed at you. I would.
Bad or that could look bad, make sure like people know or just don't do it at all.
That can look bad.
I'm told the Harris County Sheriff's Office Violent Crimes Division now taking the lead in this investigation, but they may need the cooperation of the complainants or the guys you saw in that video getting punched. Reporting live tonight, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
A prank turned now potential crime. We'll see where this all goes next. Jason, thank you.
I'm stunned. What? It's okay. We left on good terms. I hugged him. After you walloped him in the back of the head. Sounds kind of like getting Israel'd. Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay, so the government of Israel, apparently their ground invasion is underway of Gaza. They've expanded their operations. Netanyahu is I condemn your joke.
He condemn.
Netanyahu is issuing an apology because he apparently did the same thing George W. Bush did. And it's like, I didn't know what was going on.
Jay, welcome. Another big storyline today is that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is issuing an apology. Tell us why.
Yeah, Alex, it's very interesting. He had a late night post, Saturday overnight post, which seemed to blame members of the military as well as security on his staff for the October 7th attacks. There were immediate and angry responses from those in the military and security demanding an apology. 9 hours later, we did have the social media post removed. It was taken off social media, and then 9 hours later, he posted another post, and it said in the top of the post, quoting here, I was wrong. So there's definitely some dissension, some back and forth within the upper leadership here in Israel about what's going on. And it really, Alex, cuts to an undercurrent that you hear and feel across Israel right now. A lot of people, including one of the hostages released.
Benjamin Netanyahu, he's got some titties. Those are some titties that need slapping.
A titty slap!
Come on now. Released by Hamas asked why some of the warning signs 3 weeks before the attacks were ignored and why it took so long for police officers and IDF soldiers to recognize and respond to the attacks. A lot of
Hey, everybody loves titties.
People asking questions about that. What we've heard from leaders in both the IDF
Purgatoris
here is that now is not the time for that, but there will be an independent assessment at some point.
Hey, here's what I gotta say about your cancellation.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Venus, good evening. I'm going to read this story to you from Politico from a couple of days ago, and what I'm getting ready to say is going to come as no shock to anybody. The White House is losing the messaging war on Ukraine. Now it's wanting to change the message. We've already seen it in clips that we have watched of politicians in the last week or so. The president's team is privately urging lawmakers to focus on the jobs that can be created. Mitch McConnell did it. The jobs that can be created by the money spent on the war. The White House has been quietly urging lawmakers in both parties to sell the war efforts abroad as a potential economic boom at home. Aides have been distributing talking points to Democrats and Republicans who have been supportive of continued efforts to fund Ukraine's resistance to make the case that doing so is good for American jobs. This is according to 5 White House aides and lawmakers familiar with the effort and granted anonymity to speak freely. Yeah, this is right up Warlord's alley. The push first previewed publicly in Joe Biden's Oval Office address last week, we watched here on stream.
Come on, man.
Comes ahead of the election of a new House Speaker, with the White House trying to invoke patriotism to help convince holdout Republicans not just to help Kyiv, but to pass a major package that includes funds for Israel as well. As we replenish our stocks of weapons, that's exactly what Mitch McConnell said in the interview that we watched where he was talking about his health. As we replenish our stock of weapons, we are partnering with the U.S. defense industry to increase our capacity and meet the needs of the U.S. and our allies both now and in the future. This is according to a copy of the talking points obtained by Politico. The supplemental request invests over $50 billion in the American defense industrial base. I always called it the military-industrial complex. Ensuring our military continues to be the most ready, capable, and best-equipped fighting force the world has ever seen, and expanding production lines, strengthening the American economy, and creating new American jobs. Man, when Biden told his donors that nothing would fundamentally change, he really meant it. Now, I will give him props that he is capitulated to labor. The NLRB is doing a fantastic job. But woof, this foreign policy. Talking points are an implicit recognition that the administration has work to do in selling the $106 billion foreign aid supplemental request, and that talking about it squarely under the umbrella of national security interest hasn't done the trick. The White House's pitch is an echo of one made by an influential figure on the other side of the aisle, Senator Mitch McConnell. So they related this to the election of a new Speaker of the House because that's the first order of business. We finally got a Speaker of the House last week, and we're learning more and more about how skeezy he is. Here is a former staffer from Capitol Hill talking about Michael Johnson, right? Michael Johnson.
just kick the can down the road for 3 weeks.
No, they've actually boxed themselves in, because here's the reality. If you do what Donald Trump and the MAGA universe wants you to do, kiss your majority goodbye. If you go all in on being anti-women, if you go all in on being anti-LGBTQ, if you go in on being anti-diversity, if you actually believe in things like separation of church and state, guess what? This guy is going to lead you into the political abyss. So your choices are to either do what the MAGA people want, shut down the government, ensue more chaos, as if we haven't had enough of that coming from the House of Representatives over the last month, or do something that just alienates you from the MAGA universe, and then you end up repeating this cycle of kicking out a speaker and trying to find somebody else. It's just bad choices all around right now for this rudderless party.
Yeah, we've wasted a month waiting for Republicans to get their act together before they can even begin talking about
He's got a WWE belt in the background. It's the Stone Cold Smoking Skull belt.
Now for this rudderless party.
Yeah, we've wasted a month waiting for Republicans to get their act together before they can even begin talking about a spending bill for the next year. Kurt Bardella, Jill Winebanks, please don't go anywhere. Stick around. We're going to talk to you a little.
Does the new Speaker of the House live in sexual anarchy?
You live in sexual anarchy?
House Speaker Mike Johnson responds to new round of scrutiny. I wonder if he likes skulls or if he's totally into wrestling too. House Speaker Mike Johnson responds to a new round of scrutiny about Black Sun. The Louisiana representative cited privacy as to why there are no pictures of his adopted child in public family photos. Wow. Mike Johnson's meteoric elevation from under the radar congressman from Louisiana to second in line to the U.S. presidency sent journalists, Democrats, and Republicans alike to uncover information about the personal and professional history of the most right-wing and least experienced House Speaker in history, who took over the job on Wednesday. On the day that Johnson was voted in, several major right-wing social media accounts on X, formerly known as Twitter, began circulating clips of an interview Johnson gave to PBS in 2020, in which he told journalist Walter Isaacson that the police killing of George Floyd was an act of murder and called for systematic change. Notably, Johnson said in the interview that he had learned about racism in America through the experience of raising a black son, Michael. Johnson said his black son had a more difficult life than his white son simply because of the color of his skin. Michael being a black American and Jack being white Caucasian, they have different challenges. My son Jack has an easier path. He just does. Daily Wire podcaster Matt Walsh, who once called me a formidable voice in the culture.
JustinFREAKIN is a formidable voice in the culture.
Described Johnson's comments as a full-fledged endorsement of the left's radical narrative, while far-right anti-Muslim activist Laura Loomer accused the new speaker of being an undercover Democrat. Pro-DeSantis conservative influencer Pedro Gonzalez wrote that Johnson had completely internalized left-wing racial libel about white supremacy and privilege. Talking Points Memo's Josh Marshall noted on Friday that there were no photos of Michael on Johnson's House website or his Facebook page. His son also does not appear in Johnson's official biography. Speculation about whether Michael was a real person prompted Johnson's office to clarify. When Speaker Johnson first ran for Congress in 2016, he and his wife, Kelly, spoke to their son Michael, who they took in as newlyweds when Michael was 14 years old, said Corianne Day, Johnson's communications director, in a statement first reported by Newsweek. At the time of the Speaker election to Congress, Michael was an adult with a family of his own. He asked not to be involved in their new public life. Day added that Johnson maintains a close relationship with Michael to this day. Day told Newsweek that the Johnson family did not formally adopt Michael because of the lengthy process. If only you were someone in a position of power to change that lengthy process. make it easier to adopt in this country, which does need to be reformed. Declined to say whether Michael used the same surname as the family. Johnson's black son came up in 2019 when Johnson testified before a subcommittee, the House Judiciary Committee, considering a resolution that would establish a commission to examine possible reparation proposals. In comments that drew boos from some in the hearing, Johnson said that he had asked his son about the idea of reparations for slavery and that his son said he opposed it. If you're going to use your kid, say that you have a reason, like, oh, this black person doesn't support reparations, you gotta prove you got a black kid. That's what? Because that's like the equivalent of, like, saying, like, I have a black friend. He said I could say the N-word. Like, what? I'm floored. Do we have a clip of this? Oh, shit. Oh, God. No, we can't watch 42 minutes of this motherfucker. He's evil. He's evil Stephen Colbert.
Brand new Speaker of the House, his first interview.
No, we got a lot more shit to cover. We can't listen. This motherfucker. I will say, he is Flash. Did I tell you good evening? I will say that he is more personable and charismatic than anyone they've had in that position in a really long time. I started on time, Warlord. I'm very high right now. But I assure you, I started on time tonight. It is 8:48 Eastern time right now. I'm sorry. I should have streamed on Friday. We could have done the conclusion of the. Please don't gaslight me. We could have done the conclusion of the manhunt in Maine, but I wasn't feeling good. I was meh. So my apologies for not showing up on Friday night. I didn't have a co-host, so like I wasn't very motivated. I'll come up with somebody cool for this Friday. I won't let you down. I promise. Like, Snicks, you wanted a show of light, fluffy stuff. We're gonna do that on Halloween. Oh yeah. Venus, I went out in downtown last night. Had a beer at the bar. Went around, talked to people about their costumes, made fun of people. Did shenanigans. I did shenanigans last night. Shenanigans is exactly what I would call the Mike Pence campaign for president. It's just been one big shenanigan on the American people. He is now dropping out of the presidential race. We got a lot of movement in the presidential race.
Last June, I announced my intention to seek the Republican nomination for president of the United States, because I believe this country is in a lot of trouble.
Oh, it is.
I was raised to believe that to whom much is given, much will be required. And with everything our country is facing, I just couldn't sit this one out. But the Bible tells us that there's a time for every purpose under heaven. And traveling across the country over the past 6 months, I came here to say it's become clear to me. This is not my time.
Nah, shit, Sherlock.
So after much prayer and deliberation, I have decided to suspend my campaign for president effective today. Now, I'm leaving this campaign, but let me promise you, I will never leave the fight for conservative values, and I will never stop fighting to elect principled Republican leaders to every office in the land. So help me God.
Man, I don't like that dude. Speaking of dudes I don't like, Trump got news of Pence dropping out of the race. Let's hear what he had to say.
I'll tell you people that do have what it takes, because there are some that do, not necessarily in that group. But we have a lot of everybody that leaves seems to be endorsing me. You know, people are leaving now and they're all endorsing me. I don't know about
Larry.
He should endorse me.
Larry Elder dropped out of the race and endorsed him. Ben Carson, I don't think was in the race, but endorsed him earlier today. So he's getting endorsements left and right.
Seems to be endorsing me. You know, people are leaving now and they're all endorsing me. I don't know about Mike Pence. He should endorse me. He should endorse me. You know why? Because I had a great, successful presidency and he was the vice president. He should endorse me. I chose him.
I think this is the video, not me.
Politics can be very disloyal. I've never seen it. You know, they asked me.
We got the remix of Trump over here from Forbes.
But he could have done what he could have done, right? There's no question. But people in politics, they ask me questions.
Could not have overturned the election.
A politician. I said, absolutely business. This is the first month. Absolutely business people are worse. Then about 4 or 5 months go by and we start, they start doing their number with the impeachment hoaxes.
Wow, that was horrible. I'm sorry I put you through that clip. See, that's what I get for not being a pre-watch Andy. And knowing what we're actually going to watch. Keep it with presidential candidates. Cornel West campaign manager says he's leaving the job. And unfortunately, I think it's like the second campaign manager that's left the job for him. The West campaign not going well, I don't think. Presidential candidate Cornel West campaign manager said he has departed the team. A high-level shakeup for the Democrat-turned-independents insurgent bid. Peter Dow, a progressive strategist and ally of West, announced on Twitter that he is experiencing extreme stress after working on 2 separate White House campaigns during the 2024 cycle and personal trauma from the Israel-Palestine tumult. Dow previously worked for Marianne Williamson's Democratic primary campaign against Joe Biden. He cited experiencing ongoing emotional distress in the aftermath of Hamas's attack on Israel, the still unfolding conflict in Gaza, and the administration's response. I'm so tired of human violence and brutality. I'm so tired of the U.S. enabling and supporting it. Fair enough, my friend. Dow also referenced his Lebanese upbringing as adding a personal element to the tragic situation on the ground. My PTSD from growing up in Beirut under constant bombardment is being triggered in big ways by this genocide. I'm going to take time off and pray on everything. The left-wing campaign veteran has been critical of Biden and the nature of the United States two-party electoral system. Every bit of that is understandable. He did add that his attitude towards West, who changed to an independent earlier this month, has not changed. That his challenge of the establishment class remains a worthy pursuit. Always a worthy pursuit to kick authority in the balls.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
Said it over and over again. I personally will probably vote for Biden. I would encourage you, man. If you are in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, I'd probably encourage you to vote for Biden, but I'm not going to get mad at you if you can't do it and you want to vote your conscience and vote West. I vote for him because I've seen the change in the Democratic Party, and I believe that it is very possible to steer it in a much better direction if we can get some new blood in there. The decisions that put Biden in place to be the president were made on the local level 20, 30 fucking years ago. I'm addicted to the hopium. You're addicted to just chaos, motherfucker. You just want to burn it all down. I mean, I like some chaos. You know, with the government, it should. I said this the other day. I heard a quote. I don't remember where I heard it. I don't remember what the story I was listening to was. Possibly Tom. It was something I was listening to as I was like falling asleep. It might have been Tom Hartman. It might have been something or news or something like that. But they were talking about how a functional government is having really boring meetings. It'll put you to sleep. They're just budgeting for roads and playgrounds and providing services to people. That's the kind of government I want. I have a show geared towards the dumpster fire that is our government. It's good content for me. The fucking Republicans are batshit and everything's absurd. However, I personally would like us to have good governance. I deep down am empathetic towards the idea of having a government that works for the people and would like to fight for it. I wouldn't say I'm an all-out socialist. Like I've said it many times. There are sectors of the economy where like a free market between people to compete is a good thing. Like, you know, restaurants competing with each other is probably a good thing, but that's not life or fucking death, right? The healthcare system should be run by the government, hands down. I think other segments of the economy should be run as worker co-ops. But now you have to have a government mechanism to like go in, like the steel industry should be run as a worker co-op. And you have to have the government come in and say, all right, like the people own this now. We're going to give it over to some sort of board that the people elect. And then if the workers own an equity in the company, they aren't going to ship their jobs overseas. It produces happier workers. They're not going to pay their CEOs outrageous money. I just like it depends on what we're talking about, right? Like there needs to be balance. Like the media business should be some form of capital, making TV shows and competing with each other. That's good, but I think the government should supplement it the way they always did with public channels. I think there should still be like public streaming channels. Grocery stores. I absolutely believe the government should take over Walmart because goddamn, we have paid enough. We have paid enough by subsidizing their workforce. We have given them fucking land all over this fucking country. Subsidized them locally. They moved, and like when they put in all the super centers, like throughout the 2000s, they would go out into the counties, so they would suck the traffic from the downtown. It would kill downtown businesses. We're just now moving past that. Like Walmart has cost this country so much the government should take it over. There should be like one, like, you know, brand of shit that doesn't have labels and marketing. If you want some mayonnaise, and I think everybody should have like $1,000 in food stamps every month. The most you can get now is like $250. You could go, like, if you only want to make your fucking food stamp work at the government store that's the Walmart they took over, because it already has all the distribution and everything. And you can't tell me that the shareholders and the Walton family heirs don't have enough goddamn fucking money already. And then when you have a government option like that, it actually keeps the private sector on the up and up. That the food stamp program should absolutely be expanded to be like household items, baby formula and food and all that good shit. I know they have supplemental programs for that, but like there should be like, or if you take over the fucking Walmarts, anything the fucking Walmart, anything, do it. But there can still be like people could like. Streamers competing for the most views and shit. Some form of free market in small doses. Oh, these nuts. Don't know if I've told you good evening. We've already bought them out. We have already paid them for these services over and over and over. They don't get reparations. They get against the wall. There you go. There you go. You want me to be radical on the show. A very controlled free market, right? There's certain segment. It depends on what segment of the economy you're talking about. Clothing stores selling fucking clothes. If you have a Walmart type store that sells just basic fucking clothes at a very low price, and you can use your fucking EBT card to buy clothes for your kids that aren't all marked up and shit, then the other clothing stores have to compete. I don't know that I label myself, I guess that's what you would call it, a democratic socialist. I feel like I'm a practical person. Like I am left wing now, because left wing is the policy prescription to what is going on with our country. It's left wing policies to counteract the hyper capitalism we've been experiencing over the last 30, 40 years. We should have safe injection sites. You should be able to buy your fucking heroin and your shrooms and shit at the store just like you buy your pot. Do it, you bastards. Legalize freedom. I believe in fucking freedom. Ultimately, I'd say I'm pretty fucking libertarian. But they're like in libertarian thought. And Robert Nozick, he's the considered the father of modern libertarian thought. He says that if there's no initial just acquisition of an asset, like if somebody stole it down the line, then you have to have some mechanism to make society equal, make the playing field fair. And I always compare it to like fucking Monopoly. You would get pissed off if you didn't start the game with your two $500 bills, your two $100 bills, your 5 10s, your 5 20s, your 5 5s. If you didn't start the game and get your 200 every time you pass go, like, you'd be fucking pissed off. We live like that. Like, I haven't been out of debt my entire adult life. That's wild to me. I started adulthood in debt. How is that possible? Anyway, I got off on a tangent. come for the news. We gotta find out what that news be doing. Anytime I get off on a tangent, you just give me a titty slap.
A titty slap! Give me those titties,
Come on now.
Apparently she pulled snacks out of her ass. A libertarian leftist is what I am, I guess, as according to the political compass test. That's what, like, I will have right-wingers rightfully diagnose the problem and shit. And then, like, you know, you get to the solution. All right, we need to tax the billionaires out of existence. And it's like, no. We tax them too much. And it's like, okay, what the fuck do you, like, you think the billionaires have too much influence? You think there's too much money in politics? There was one guy I was arguing with that was like, we need to ban Congress people from trading stocks. I'm like, I am totally for that. That is something we can agree on. Here are the Democrats that sponsored that bill. And he's like, oh no, I hate that dude. He only put that forward because he knew it wouldn't pass. He's two-faced. I'm like, what the fuck? He is for the thing you say you're for. How can you be against the thing you say you're for? I don't get it. Our next story tonight comes to us from the Daily Mail, so we have to approach it with some skepticism, but I find the headline juicy enough to bring it to you here on the Troll Patrol. DOJ officials are accused of spying on watchdogs Jason Foster and Kash Patel, who are overseeing the Crossfire Hurricane investigation into Trump-Russia collusion. Was it Ro Khanna? I'm not sure it was, Richard. I think it was somebody I'd never heard of. Ro Khanna was a co-sponsor, but it was like authored by somebody I had never even heard of before. And it was apparently the dude's congressman that we were talking about. Also, Richard, good evening. If I remember the conversation correctly, I am high. Your mind, there is a fascinating thing where, like, when you're remembering things, if you don't actually remember something, and I don't remember things a lot, your mind will, like, fill in the gaps. So there's always the chance I'm just making shit up, you know. I'm doing a Hassan Minaj. The Department of Justice The Department of Justice illegally surveilled congressional lawyers in a blatant abuse of power, according to the targets of the newly revealed snooping. Top GOP congressional lawyers were investigating the Justice Department in 2017 over its controversial Russian collusion probe, codenamed Crossfire Hurricane. He was an official in the Trump administration. Commerce Secretary, I think, or head of the FCC, possibly. New documents reveal that at the same time the DOJ office they were probing was spying on their phone calls and emails in an allegedly illegal fishing expedition. The Daily Mail can reveal that one of the key players in the scandalous surveillance was Tajpal Chawla, a federal prosecutor who had donated to Democrat campaigns. One of the congressional lawyers targeted by Chawla's snooping is now demanding documents from the DOJ, and another is suing the department, claiming it violated constitutional protections and a blatant abuse of power. In 2017, Chawla, an assistant U.S. attorney in the Washington, D.C. I don't mean to like pause and say it weird. I'm trying to make sure I say it correctly. Chawla seems close. Chawla was an assistant U.S. attorney in the Washington, D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office, subpoenaed phone records of lawyers working for the Senate and House. His snooping subpoena came just as those congressional staffers were investigating Chawla's office over its Crossfire hurricane probe. This is spy versus spy here, like they're investigating each other, which alleged collusion between Russian agents and the Donald Trump presidential campaign. So this is Jason Foster, one of the congressional lawyers that was spied on. Tapal, that is probably it. Tapal Chawla. Kash Patel was here on the right. Congressional lawyers Jason Foster and Kash Patel were outraged by the Justice Department spying, both because the lawyers received greater protections from snooping through attorney-client privilege, and because they were acting as watchdogs of the DOJ at the time in their roles on top lawmaking committees. Some of the subpoenas from 6 years ago were only exposed in recent days when their targets were belatedly notified by Google and other big tech firms after a court seal keeping the subpoenas secret expired. DOJ officials who sought the phone records in 2017 were allegedly looking for the source of leaks of classified information regarding their Russia probe. Jason Foster was chief investigative counsel to then Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley at the time. He got an email from Google last week revealing that in 2017, the Justice Department obtained records for his Google Voice telephone number between December 1st, 2016 and May 1st, 2017. He told the Daily Mail that DOJ officials he was investigating went after his wife's phone records and possibly also a phone used for her Senate business. This was just a fishing expedition to gather intel on their overseers in Congress. We were their primary oversight committee, and we were asking them very pointed and difficult questions that they didn't want to answer. Google emailed Foster this month with a copy of the snooping subpoena from 2017, though the signature of the prosecutor who signed the document is partially redacted. Enough was visible for DailyMail.com to match it with Chawla's signature and on other documents. Wow. Damn Daily Mail. I don't know if I agree with their framing. Attorney-client privilege doesn't apply if you're actually committing a crime. That's because that's one of the things that the Trump lawyers have tried to argue, and apparently it doesn't work well. That's one of the reasons why they are flipping. I gotta hit a content warning before I play this next feller for you. British tabloid, and it is like the same. It's the Fox News Corp empire, if I remember correctly. Both these people are horrendous. Was Chris Cuomo was the one on CNN. Andrew Cuomo was the governor that groped some people and said it was because he was Italian, right? I've got that correct. This is a long time ago when all this shit went down. There's a lot of other stuff going on at the time. It was during a presidential election. There was COVID. So forgive me for not being able to remember the foibles of the governor of New York, who ended up resigning. I don't think he got impeached, right? He ended up resigning after pressure. That's how fucking Kathleen, what's her name? Hochul. Boom. The stoner's getting it. That's how she became the governor. Apparently, like, Cuomo is wanting the job back again, and he's on like a retribution, redemption tour right now, and he was on with Bill Maher. Bill Maher asked him if he ever groped anybody.
Away their flaws. Our generation, you know, we were too open, and the other one is too sensitive. So let me just, some of these other ones.
Old man yells at cloud.
He touched my back and said, "Hey, you." Made a marriage joke in the car. A marriage joke, and I read what the joke was. It was what anybody would make about Joe. Why get married? This, you know, the sex is worse. It's like mailmen make these jokes. You know, I'm glad that there was a Me Too movement.
The hack joke.
I also don't want to live in the Soviet Union. Listen, he kissed me on the cheek. I remember when a kiss on the cheek was the defense before I didn't do anything wrong.
Wait a minute. Is Bill Maher just acting as Cuomo's press secretary here? He's not even going to ask him a question?
Kiss me on a cheek in the sexual manner. I don't know how you do that. Kiss me on both cheeks while we were looking at flood damage. I mean, it's just, some of it is just so, and then there's others that there are like...
Some of it. Yeah, if you just read random quotes and leave out all the, you know, incriminating ones, you're kind of doing a whitewashing job.
You said you groped them, like you actually groped.
Serious accusation. Went to the district attorney.
Right. Well, there's no pretty else in the room. So I'm just asking you, looking you in the eye contact. Did you ever actually grope anybody?
No. Short answer, no. And even that story was problematic. And that's why the district attorney didn't bring a case. 5 district attorneys went all through this. Didn't bring a single case.
Okay.
I don't believe you, sir.
A titty slap!
You've been doing a titty slap. You've been doing a titty slapping. Maher is trash. Cuomo is trash. Cop a Cuomo. He had aspirations to be president. If he thinks he can come back from this, the woke mob can't cancel him.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Then, like, we might have to deal with that motherfucker. I don't know where he's getting support from. Go to Fox Business, who is admitting what we've all known for quite some time, that we are a nation of renters.
All right, here's how bad the housing market has gotten. It really depends on your point of view. It is far cheaper.
Doesn't it?
Far cheaper to rent a home than to own one when you include all the things that go into owning a home, including taxes and just the higher interest rates right now. In fact, 52% more to own than to rent. I think you'd have to go back to around 1990 to see us back at those levels. Katrina Campins, Fox News contributor, real estate expert extraordinaire on what that...
Whoa. I was not expecting this to be so blatantly like, you'll own nothing and you'll love it. That's one of the conspiracy theories that right-wingers always go with, like the World Economic Forum is going to make us like where we can't own anything. It's kind of true, and like you guys go along with it. Fox Business telling you like, oh, why it's so much better to be a renter than to own your own home. These homeowners on the TV that make millions of dollars are going to tell us why it's so much better to rent.
Means you're seeing it, and it's very pricey to get a home and get in a home, but this disparity is jarring. What do you make of it, Katrina?
Homeowners.
Neil, thanks for having me. You know, as you mentioned, buying a home has become 52% more expensive compared to renting due to rising mortgage rates, making it
And when you take your 33 and a third,
take your 33 to get on the property ladder. Now, however, the tight housing market is not proving to be a windfall for landlords either, as increasing property taxes and insurance costs are affecting them. In addition to this, landlords are burdened with the responsibility of maintaining the property. Historically,
Will someone think of the landlords?
par with or even lower than monthly rent payments for apartments and homes, a trend that held from about 1996 until mid-2003. This was because homeowners tend to invest more in their properties, covering costs like repairs and renovations. However, in the run-up to the 2008 market crash, mortgage premiums reached a peak of 33% in the second quarter of 2006.
Nice little house.
Financial crisis. Interest rates dropped as housing supply surged in 2010, making it on average 12% cheaper to buy a home instead of renting them. Now, nonetheless, the increased cost of debt driven by the benchmark 30-year home rates, which just hit 8%, coupled with the limited housing supply, has reversed this ratio.
6.9.
Getting more and more difficult.
Damn sure fine.
But for people to actually purchase a home, this is such a challenging market, but it's
nice
for buyers and sellers because potential home sellers, can't sell because
you live
they're
in
locked into a
sexual
lower rate,
anarchy.
So they can't upgrade, they can't move, into a smaller home.
I would not invite Neil Cavuto to the orgy.
Immense costs that they're dealing with as well.
Someone think of the landlords.
It's a standoff between buyers and sellers right now. Sellers who don't want to put their home on the market and buyers who can't afford the ones that are out there. So let me ask you a little bit about the rental phenomenon and how maybe some take advantage.
Phenomenon. It just happened.
There's a wave, I don't know how significant it is right now in Florida, Katrina, where a lot of people are seeking out rentals because the high real estate taxes notwithstanding, it's a more affordable route to go. I don't know if that applies universally, but it's gotten to be a bit of a trend in Florida.
It's better when everybody's in, but not Neil Cavuto.
Absolutely. There's so many, I think it depends also on the generation, right? So a lot of the millennials are entering the market and they're preferring to rent. They want the freedom. Right?
I'm not preferring to rent, ma'am.
Accumulated most of their wealth through home ownership. So that's where you see most of the home ownership. As far as renting is concerned, though, remember, during the craziness that was the pandemic, a lot of institutional buyers jumped into the market. They bought so much housing. They were competing with first-time homeowners. And, we've discussed this before. It was really unfair.
When she says institutional buyers, she means like investment firms. Yeah, like she's meaning like big corporations bought everything up.
Fair for a lot of the first-time homeowners, but then what they did was the institutional buyers purchased those homes.
Institutional buyers, what double speak?
In a nation with so many people renting as opposed to buying homes, and there's different perspectives on that. My perspective is that a home is really such an important place for your family to set a foundation, for children to have stability, for home values, right, to be set. And so I really hope that home ownership will come back because I think it's such a huge part of the American dream.
We shall see. Still early going. But
she hopes it comes back. She is a realtor. People have been adding up how much they've paid in rent over, I lived with my parents until I was like 23, maybe. And I've lived on my own since. That's a lot of fucking rent. No, I don't own nothing. It's a shame. So, I think it's a good time to cut to labor stories. UAW and I said that like a redneck. I'm sorry. Like a real Appalachian. The UAW. There we go. Not W. The UAW. Slap happy. Probably didn't get enough sleep last night. The UAW and Stellantis have reached a tentative deal on a contract, and then you guys are gonna love what happens after that. UAW and Chrysler parent Stellantis reached a tentative deal that we're gonna get clip. We've got footage of the workers striking. Deal comes after 6 weeks. Four-year contract includes 25% increase. I'm sure the cost of living. Yep.
We are the union. We are the union. The mighty, mighty union. The mighty, mighty union.
Your Motors said it was working on a deal. It didn't dare. The Wall Street Journal wouldn't play a clip of Sean Fain. Since GM is still holding out, they expanded their strike.
The United Auto Workers Union expanded its strike against General Motors.
Said that.
Bargaining setback Saturday, a move that could hobble GM's large pickup production as well as assembly of other popular GM vehicles. It is not clear what derailed GM and the UAW's progress toward an agreement, but sources said pension costs and issues involving the use of temporary workers were among the points of contention.
Today, we reached a tentative agreement with Stellantis.
Meanwhile, United Auto Workers President Sean Fain announced a tentative labor deal with Chrysler owner Stellantis that mirrored one made just days earlier with Ford.
The power of the stand-up strike cannot be understated. Over the 44 days we were on strike, Stellantis more than doubled the total value of the proposals they had on the table.
Both the Ford and Stellantis deals won workers a record 25% jump in wages over the 4.5-year contract and allowed the automakers to restart their profitable truck assembly lines. Fain is scheduled to meet Sunday afternoon with local union leaders from Ford to start the process of ratifying a new contract. GM is now the only Detroit automaker without a contract deal.
Come the fuck on, GM. What's your problem? Speaking of cars, one person died and what a fucking segue. One person died and another was injured after an on-track incident at Daytona International Speedway in Florida. This is like the fourth Florida story tonight.
Learned a driver lost their life. We're still working to get more information, but what we know so far is that the track was being rented out tonight by the Sports Car Club of America, Central Florida region, according to its website. We did get a statement from the Speedway. It said in part, "We are saddened by the passing of a driver after they were transported to an area medical facility following an on-track incident during today's Audi Club track rental session." It went on to say, additionally, our thoughts are with the driver who was injured during the same incident. Daytona International Speedway will coordinate with both Audi Club and local authorities during their investigation into the cause of the accident. I did reach out to the SCCA Central Florida Region Club president tonight, but have not heard back yet. This event was supposed to continue into tomorrow. We're still working to learn if that has been canceled or not. Of course, we will update you if we get any new information. Reporting in Daytona Beach, Stephanie Buffmonte, Fox 35 News.
The Audi Club was part of the International GT season finale race at the Speedway this weekend. Fox 35's Jessica Ely continues our team coverage tonight with more on that race and the club's history. Jessica.
Yeah, the Audi Club is a group of car enthusiasts from across the country who pay to participate in drivers' education events and even some races. The club was at the Speedway this weekend for 2 days of events. Drivers without any racing experience could ride with an instructor. The races are made up of car owners who get their pro driver's license. It's still not clear which section the deadly incident happened. Now, this is the 40th on-track death at the Speedway since it opened in 19.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Like so many people have died there, including Dale Earnhardt.
59. 23 of those deaths were drivers on the track. The most notable death was Dale Earnhardt, who died during the Daytona 500 back in 2001. Now, it's still not clear if the event
Pumpkin, good evening.
Will go on as scheduled. Live in the studio, I'm Jessica Ely.
It's developing in Osceola County this morning.
I'm beginning to think that maybe they should close that place down. Perhaps it is haunted. Perhaps it's cursed, built on some kind of Indian burial ground or some shit. I guess the talk of the sporting world is a fight between an MMA fighter and the world champion of boxing. As I understand it, the people who are fans of MMA and aren't familiar with the rules of boxing believe that the MMA fighter, I am going to probably fuck up his name, Francis, I said it earlier and I think I was close. Francis Ngannou fought Tyson Fury. I should have asked my buddy who actually watches this shit. I asked him how to pronounce it. So this is the MMA fighter. This is the world heavyweight champion of boxing, as I understand it, Tyson Fury. And apparently the MMA fans feel like this should have won the MMA fighter the fight. Ngannou. So apparently that's a really big deal. They are having a boxing fight. So this is it's a huge trend right now to have like MMA fighters box boxers and shit. And then there's the whole Jake Paul and the celebrity fucking circuit and shit. That's the best way I can explain it. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. But apparently knocking the champion of boxing down is a really big fucking deal. And the MMA fighter or the MMA fans don't really understand why Tyson Fury won the fight. So a battered and relieved Tyson Fury was awarded a controversial split decision win over the remarkable Francis Ngannou, who was making his boxing debut. This happened in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Holy shit. Apparently it was like that hit took place in like the third round, I think. I read correctly. It's probably going to tell us here in a second. He was probably just taken by surprise. But apparently, Ngannou, I'm fucking it up now, I'm sure. Apparently, he has a really hard punch. He is known for his striking in MMA. One judge believed that Ngannou, who knocked Fury down heavily in the third round, had won the fight 95-94. A second had the exact score in Fury's favor, while the third official's card returned a 96-93 margin for the WBC World Heavyweight Champion. In this 10-round non-title fight, Ngannou dented and then tarnished the champion's prestige by fighting with fire and purpose. Fury was badly swollen around the left eye, and the possibility of his heavily hyped fight for the undisputed world title against Oleksandr Usyk, happening on December the 23rd as planned, is now in jeopardy. The Ukrainian, who holds the IBF, WBA, and WBO titles, stepped into the ring afterwards to meet Fury and to make clear his readiness to fight on the agreed date. Fury suggested he was ready to rumble right there and then, but before Usyk climbed between the ropes, he had sounded less certain. Britain's promoter Frank Warren then stressed that they will have to think carefully, as less than 2 months does not offer Fury much time to recover from his bruising. I think Dana White helped promote this, if I heard correctly. Let's do some entertainment news. Allow me to show you the meme of the day. We're giving away meet and greets with Matthew Perry. God, I'm horrible. But apparently there are conspiracy theories going around about his death. I said if they do the pivot bit with the casket, I'll laugh at that more than like I ever laughed at the show. That would be hilarious to me.
We're back with a Fox News alert. Actor Matthew Perry reportedly dead at the age of 54. Law enforcement sources tell TMZ this. The actor was found dead in a jacuzzi in an LA area home where it appears he has drowned. They say as of now, no drugs were found at the scene. No foul play appears to be involved.
He found God not that long ago, as I understand it.
Just a little bit drips and drabs of information is Caitlin Becker of the Daily Mail. Caitlin, stunned by this news. We know about his bouts with addiction. We saw he was on a path of redemption, especially after the release of his book. And now this. Can you?
Oh, it's a book plug.
Yeah, more details really are kind of trickling in with breaking news stories like this. It sort of happens fast and furious, and we get new details as they come in. The area home where he was found dead is reportedly his own home, and it was an assistant who had initially called 911 reporting cardiac arrest. From what we understand, this was first reported by TMZ, but several outlets, including us, have confirmed it in that time. And from what we understand, he'd spent the morning very active, playing pickleball for a few hours, came home, sent his assistant out on an errand, and when
I play with my pickleball pretty much daily.
Him in an apparent dire condition. I don't know if he was dead at that point or suffering some sort of heart attack, but he was found in the jacuzzi.
Hey, was he related to Luke Perry? Were they related somehow? I have no idea. I don't keep up with the celebrities.
Clear is whether or not he was just in the jacuzzi when he died or had drowned in the jacuzzi. So there's quite a few questions there. And DailyMail.com has spoken to a longtime friend of Matthew Perry's and someone who was in recovery with him, who said he spoke to Matthew Perry just a few weeks ago and he sounded upbeat and sober and great. So this came as a really big shock to even people in his inner circle.
The Daily Mail reporter. That makes perfect sense.
Fans of him that he could have potentially relapsed, but according to this source that we had who knew him pretty well, the last time he spoke to him, he seemed great.
Caitlin, he just seemed like a guy, even though he had his troubles, he didn't have a lot of enemies. People liked him. I mean, I never had a chance to meet him or interview him, but he's likable on camera, and evidently to his friends, people were pulling for him rather than, you didn't hear those stories about him being a bad guy.
Well, I mean, it makes perfect sense that you would, with a church, you can find a sense of community and a sense of belonging. Because if you're on drugs, you're probably self-medicating for something, and having a place to go where you feel welcome is a great replacement for whatever you're missing. And true, like we're all medicated in some way. So like I totally get the pipeline from addict to finding God. I find it silly still, but like I understand where their heart is and where their head is at the time.
You really didn't. You actually heard quite the opposite. People just reported time and again what a wonderful person he is. That friend who we spoke to repeated just those exact sentiments and said that Matthew was always the first person to welcome someone into the group, to volunteer to help them out, to really, have open arms. And the cast on the show was always fiercely, fiercely protective over him. And we know that throughout almost his entire time on Friends, he suffered from opioid addiction and alcoholism. And at one point said he doesn't even remember 3 seasons of the show. It's just a kind of a black hole in his memory. And in spite of that, his castmates just
those are the best times of your life.
Him so much. Anyone who's worked with him that has spoken out has only had wonderful, wonderful things to say about him. And it just seems like throughout his entire life, he really suffered with a lot of demons, as well as a lot of health problems that resulted from his addiction.
Right. Caitlin Becker, Daily Mail, thanks so much.
Shut up, Caitlin. Daily Mail bullshit. It's always a book. Why? Why? This is so much of the news permeates. Or so much of the news is permeated by book plug. Shameless self-promotion. Now, Britney Spears released. I'm sorry. Britney Spears released her book last week. I'm still on Britney's side. She also posted a awesome picture of her ass on the beach on like Instagram or something. Like, go check that out. Good on you, Britney. They interview. Leave Britney alone. That's what I got to do. Leave Britney alone. But Lance Bass of NSYNC says leave Justin Timberlake alone. He must be the real victim in all this.
Hey, have you bought Britney's book yet?
I did.
You did?
I'm excited to read it.
You haven't started, or you have?
No, I'm about to read it on the plane.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Or you can go the audiobook version.
Which sounds amazing, yeah.
Which sounds really good.
He seems annoyed.
Williams does most of it.
Maybe she should do my book.
Oh, she could just be the new go-to. Hey, a lot of the fans have been like coming at JT for various things in the book.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that's fair or unfair?
Look, I mean, everyone has their own opinion. I just feel like the world is so full of hate right now that we need to practice a little forgiveness.
Yeah.
Britney did. So let's take a note from her.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't even seem that, like, upset with him, but the fans have decided that they are upset.
Didn't she, like, cry at the VMAs or something?
Tell their story. She did, and, I hope the fans can, again, find some forgiveness.
Right. Have you talked to him about it? Does he care about what's in it?
No, I'm not going to talk about my conversations with
Oh, fair enough.
Wasn't there some buzz that they were going to do a reunion tour? Because, like, I'm that age. I'm that age to where all the female friends I have from like high school and stuff, they all the early millennials, they were into the boy bands and they were freaking out about the possibility of an NSYNC tour. How does it feel to be this motherfucker? And you get asked about Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake instead of the possibility of your band getting back together and a really hyped tour.
What's happening with this tour? It felt like the tour was going to happen.
Oh, there we go.
Going to happen, and now I haven't heard about it in ages.
There was no plan for a tour. There was no plan for an album. We might be talking about it soon, but nothing in the works right now.
No plan yet.
Yeah.
Crossing fingers, though?
I don't know that I believe him. Oh, that felt like a slimy answer. I don't know if I believe him. I think there's an album or a tour in the works. He says I'm full of shit. Here's some tourists trying to get away from a very feisty kangaroo. Frisky kangaroo.
Very grateful for the American tourists that stepped in because I was screaming and no staff.
You live in sexual anarchy?
So I was standing there with his wife who was actually filming it, and we were actually having a good old giggle. And then it turned quite serious. You can tell from his expression.
Giving it a kangaroo kick.
Quite fearful, and he walked away with so many scratches on his arms. I actually saw him washing all his arms off and then, you know, sanitizing them because he was quite, scratched from this animal.
Yeah, tell him get back.
Visiting any animal parks anytime soon.
That was a pissed off kangaroo.
I've never come across or encountered a aggressive kangaroo like this, you know, that wanted to get kind of frisky. So I was very, very grateful for the American tourists that because I was screaming and
he tried to pet him.
Staff were visible at this time. So I was standing there with his wife who was actually filming it, and we were actually having a good old giggle. And then it turned quite serious. You can tell from his expressions
He says they're giggling.
Quite fearful, and he walked away with so many scratches on his arms. I actually saw him washing all his arms off and then, you know, sanitizing them because he was quite, scratched from this animal.
Do you see like the kangaroo has such little fucking arms? You got little arms, little tiny hands. That's what it looks like. It looks like Donald Trump to me. With little tiny hands. Is it trying to get at some?
I've come across or encountered a aggressive kangaroo like this, you know, that wanted to get kind of frisky. So I was very
T-Rex arms, yeah.
American tourists that stepped in because I was screaming and no staff were visible at this time. So I was standing there with his wife who was actually filming.
Did you fight a kangaroo?
Good old giggle.
Who in the chat could take a kangaroo in a fight? I don't know that I could. I think the kangaroo kicked my ass.
You can tell from his expressions he was actually getting quite fearful, and he walked away.
New fear I have now. A kangaroo pummeling me with his little fucking T-Rex arms.
Because he was quite scratched from this animal. I don't think I'll be visiting any animal parks anytime soon.
Any ladies in the chat, ask your boyfriends.
I've never
They fight a kangaroo.
encountered a aggressive kangaroo.
That's your husband.
Wanted to get kind
They
of
fight a
frisky.
kangaroo.
So I was very, very grateful for the American tourists that stepped in because I was screaming and no staff were visible at this time. So
You give it a try at least.
He was actually filming it, and we were actually having a good old giggle. And then it turned.
That is a smaller kangaroo than some other kangaroos I've seen.
From his expressions, he was actually getting quite fearful. And
I've seen some fucking like buff kangaroo, which he's living in captivity.
all
So
his arms off and then, you know, sanitizing them because he was quite scratched from this animal. I don't think I'll be visiting any animal parks anytime soon.
this might be my new favorite video. I love Puppy Bus, but Horny Kangaroo is really funny.
I've never come across or encountered a aggressive kangaroo like this, you know, that wanted to get kind of frisky. So I was very, very grateful for the American tourists that stepped in because I was screaming and no staff were visible at this time. So I was standing there with his wife.
Pumpkin Spice says it depends on the day. Some days she can fight a kangaroo.
It turned quite serious.
Mitochondria. I don't know if I told you good evening. You don't think you'd take the kangaroo?
So many scratches on his arms. I actually saw him washing all his arms off and then, you know, sanitizing.
It's but like if I could get this, if I could take the kangaroo's back, if I could get it in some kind of a headlock, or a front chin lock. I think like I'm big enough to where I think because it looks rather lanky. If I can get its head, I think I can neutralize it. I can pin it down.
Come across or encountered a aggressive kangaroo like this, that wanted to get kind of frisky. So I was very, very grateful for the American tourists that stepped in because.
So is that what we got going on right here? This is a horny kangaroo.
So I was standing there with his wife who was actually filming it, and we were actually having a good old giggle. And then it turned.
I'm sorry, I don't mean it. I love animals. I don't want to beat up a kangaroo, but they're like he's asking for it.
He was actually getting quite fearful, and he walked away with so many scratches on his arm.
Like if the kangaroo is throwing the first punch.
Sanitizing them because he was quite.
You gotta do what you gotta do to defend yourself.
I don't think I'll be visiting any animal parks anytime soon.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. Don't beat up any kangaroos. I'm sorry.